I'm the Magicest. Chapter 11. Eek! Malcolm, Mr. Bacon, and Kyubey were hiding out inside the old abandoned cardboard box factory. They felt a disturbance in the force. Kyubey realized how dire the situation was, so he put on his most dire face. Well, Madoka, it finally happened. Saya's jealousy and anger has turned her into a witch. Mr. Bacon was so surprised, he dropped the tortilla he was looking at. Can magical girls turn into witches? Kyubey hid inside another cardboard box. Yep, funny story, that's how all witches are made. There's no way to stop it from happening. It's almost like something J.K. Rowling made up. Madoka pondered. What if you wish to get rid of all the witches? And then Kyubey pushed his face directly up to Madoka's. Despite his unchanging expression, he was pretty perplexed at Madoka's impertinent suggestion. No more cocaine for you, Madoka. That made Madoka do a hilarious sad face. Mr. Bacon had an alternative suggestion. Should we fight Sayaka's witch form? Madoka didn't have her mortarboard hat or nerd glasses, so she had to use cardboard imitations. Perhaps. I do believe that Sayaka can be saved if the equilibrium of her mind's psyche is properly calibrated. Kyubey grimaced. He knew Madoka's plan was stupid. However, he had a cunning plan of his own. So what he did was stuff some candy in a tin can and place it on the box Madoka was using as a seat. Since the candy was all melty and the tin can was so flimsy, she ended up with a squished can of stickiness on her non-magical girl ass. And that was when Kyoko's food senses were activated. She noticed that Madoka was sitting on her sweet can, and so, with a bar of sea salt ice cream in her mouth, she got her groping fingers ready. Eek! A blood-curdling gasp resounded within the confines of the warehouse. Apparently Kyoko had been too firm in her practice of groping. Sorry, Mr. Bacon, I was aiming for Madoka. Kyubey wagged his tail like a dog. Kyoko, Kyoko, Kyoko. Will you help us fight Sayaka's witch form? Kyoko thought about it while chewing the corner of a piece of juicy fruit gum. First, I get to grab Madoka's sweet can, then we'll talk. Meanwhile, Hitomi had managed to make it to Kyosuke's house without attracting too much attention, which was hard because her flying saucer made that high-pitched sound it always makes. And there she saw in the backyard the lawn chair that Kyosuke was using to work on his moonlight tan, but no cute boy occupying said chair. All she saw was a knife plunged into the ground, having impaled a skimpy pair of swimming briefs. Hitomi put together all the pieces in this deadly puzzle. Kyosuke, why did you tell Madoka to assist in suicide yourself? Hitomi mourned, lamenting the tragic loss of the boy she loved ever since she found out that Sayaka loved him too. Is it morning already? Hitomi turned around, and there was Kyusuke. But he was not dead. However, his skin was pale from all that moonlight, and he had to wear a barrel around his body. Kyosuke, my love, I am so glad Madoka did not kill you. I would have been demonstrated by that. Scratching his barrel, Kyosuke nodded, and Hitomi was mildly pleased by this delicious turn of events. Yes! Yes! She exclaimed as the camera closed up on her face to heroic bagpipe music. Kyosuke was about to explain what really happened, but a gorilla in a tie picked him up in his barrel suit and hurled him into the distance. He realized what he had done and began to enunciate some insightful platitudes. Sounds, Donkey Kong threw a barrel containing violinist boy, not fish. Great shame before Donkey Kong as mortified schoolgirl, look on. Meanwhile, Mr. Bacon and Kyoko had already made it to Sayaka's witch's lair, while Madoka and Kyubey stood by with popcorn, which Kyoko kept grabbing handfuls from. Which Sayaka kept launching rolling wheels while her backup dancers did the Gangnam Style dance, hopping like Korean Chinese Jiangxi vampires. Madoka had only her sack of smelly tomatoes that she stole from Kyosuke's vegetable garden to defend herself, but still she tried to free Sayaka from her witch trance. Kyubey observed the battle through his opera glasses. Lol. While Kyoko could deflect the rolling wheels with ease, she was defenseless against the rocket-powered vuvuzelas that Sayaka fired. Their high-pitched buzzing somehow extinguished the flames of Mr. Bacon's briefcase. Fucking magnets! Mr. Bacon complained. Madoka flung rotten tomatoes to attract Sayaka's attention. Sayaka, come back to us! You used to be my friend! Me and you and Hitomi were like the three musketeers! I was Athos and you were Porthos! Even though Aramis sucks, Hitomi wanted to be Aramis, and Mr. Bacon is D'Artagnan, I guess. All for one and most for some! But But Sayaka was not won over by Madoka's asinine pep rally. The witch influence, combined with her grip aggressiveness, caused her to lose all semblance of empathy. And so she hurled more vuvuzelas at Madoka, bopping her on the head. Madoka had to hide in the sack of tomatoes to ease the pain. The smell was much too strong for her, but there was no other choice. Of course, Kyoko, who firmly believed in the well-being of food, could not stand to see these stinky tomatoes being defiled. There was only one way to stop Sayaka, but it meant that she had to take drastic measures. So she charged up the power in her gumball and raised her arms up to do a spirit bomb. Mr. Bacon considered Kyoko crazy for attempting to perform a feat such as this, / You heinous rapscallion, your endeavors would be futile when considering that your maneuver would require an additional 12 chapters to conclude. But Kyoko knew what she was doing, and called on the power of all the tomatoes in the sack, multiplying the power of the sprite bomb and making it charge quicker. With all her might, she hurled it at Sayaka, whose wheels and vuvuzelas could not withstand the force. The resulting explosion was so strong that Madoka, Kyubey, and Mr. Bacon were flung out of the witch's barrier, which began to collapse upon itself. Kyoko and Sayaka were gone for good. Madoka cried. Mr. Bacon cried. The sack of tomatoes cried. Kyubey did. Meanwhile, Homura was out in the Kawasaki Stadium in the middle of the city. She was trying to put some complicated device together while flipping her hair, but she held her blueprint upside down. Pass me a dynamic quanta generator, please, she said while examining an open panel. Here you go, said another girl. Thanks. Homura flipped her hair and shoved the machine part in, but she realized that she was supposed to be working alone on this project. Hey, this is a private mission. Only Homura Alchemy. She paused to flip her hair. Is allowed to work on this thing. But Homura, I am the Homura, came the reply. And Homura looked up to see not a girl that wasn't Homura, but a girl that was indeed Homura.